Good morning. As we start to think about easing and the end of lockdown, I hope the books in this bookstall slot are all books which could be helpful in that kind of transition period. The past year, I think we all know, has been tough for all of us, and it's been really very tough for some. Sarah Piper, our women's worker, has a review of a book about suffering, whether that's our own or other people's.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and I'm just going to review this book that I've read recently, When Pain is Real and God Seems Silent. It's by Ligon Duncan, and as you can see, it's very thin. A year on into this COVID pandemic, we've seen a lot of suffering and a lot of struggles, and many of us personally have gone through a lot of pain. And this book is really helpful in seeing what truth and what comfort there is in God's word. So he looks at Psalm 88 and Psalm 89 with a chapter on each, and helps us to think what miserable Christians can sing. With each, he brings out key observations and brings those into the context of real lives. And then there are lessons from each psalm for how to suffer well, what hope we have in the light of suffering, and then truths about God and his word, so doctrines that really help us and sustain us during suffering. Both of the chapters really point us to Christ. We're showing how he suffered, and also how he has saved us and brought in the gospel that brings real hope in the face of suffering. It's a really short book, and I'd say it's really helpful if you are going through suffering at the moment, or to prepare you for going through suffering. We know that all of us will suffer at some point. It's also really helpful if you're walking with those who are suffering and struggling, and trying to bring them some hope and some comfort. We're going to have it available on the bookstall, so you can find out more about it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Secondly, I'd like to highlight 3 other short books. As we start to emerge from shielding and isolation and no socialising, Kevin DeYoung's Crazy Busy is a brief read, but really helpful on the subject of biblical busyness and how to be both godly and busy. Then there's one we've spoken about before. This is Rico Tice's Honest Evangelism. Very good for an evangelism refresh as we start to come into contact with more people. And finally, Mike Reeves's book on prayer is the briefest of the lot. But if you're anything like me and your prayer life can get a bit ragged in times of busyness and stress and tiredness, this is a challenging read and a great encouragement to continue praying. All the books are in our online bookstore if you'd like to have a look at them, and do get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you.